That's a well good question, that. My name is Millne, I'm 22 and it is the 17th of April 2023. It's not many. 8,687. Total streams is 1.55 million on Spotify. I think iTunes is about 400, 500k. Sonny Today is the most famous person in life. Most of the people I performed to would be at Circus Liverpool. Did a warm-up slot, so at the beginning obviously there wasn't as many people, but by the end there was about 1,000 people in the venue, so Circus Liverpool is where most people like that. I would probably have to say Circus Liverpool as well. I go to that venue all the time. All my friends were there. It just worked really well. It's been a proper goal of mine to play that venue. So yeah, Circus has been the best show. I recently played Amsterdam though, and that was really good. A lot bigger production than I was expecting, a lot more crowd engagement than I was expecting. So, and my first proper international show as well. So Amsterdam's sick as well. Give yourself about a year ago, a year from now. Make sure you're still putting the hours in the studio, even if shows get busier or you get a job or whatever. Make sure you're still putting the hours in the studio. Make sure you're still getting that groundwork in. I think that's the most important thing, is putting the time in the studio. Because I think a lot of people end up, as they get busier, stop doing that. But if you can put a couple hours in a day and you're still doing that, hopefully if I'll be a much better producer, my tracks will be better, and I'll just understand everything a lot more. I think especially within my region, Sonny, MK, Calvin Harris, they're all, Calvin also makes slightly different music now, but it's very house music, very dance music. So especially within my realm, they're the type of artists I'm into. Outside of music, I used to play a lot of sport, which I think definitely comes into the music element, because I used to be very competitive, play a lot of single sports. I used to swim, used to do triathlon, so a lot of that meant that very competitive and relied on myself. I did play team sports like football, but a lot of sports I was good at was where it was just me, which I think translates into DJing and production, because while it is a collaborative thing sometimes with producing, you work with other artists, at the end of the day on stage it's just me who's got to perform as such. I think the sport has definitely helped me with DJing, but I still do a lot of sport. And then it's just like a general thing that I like, spending time with family, really important. Yeah, sport and family and music. So have a look. I can't imagine it's going to be many. I don't really know. 72,000. I don't know whether that's a lot or not. That's right, I feel that's like alright. I think the biggest thing that's happened to me so far in my career was getting booked for the Circus show. I think that's definitely put me in a lot of other promoters' minds. I think it's definitely like people have paid attention to me because of that. I think it's a show that's given me a lot of respect. And then from that, people have gone and looked at my music and have taken time to listen to my new stuff, which has really helped. That all came down to meeting Sonny, who then gave me the opportunity to play there. But in October of last year, he brought me out a warehouse project, which at the time was the biggest thing. So then having my own slot, it's not my show, it's Sonny's show, but having my own slot at Circus was the biggest thing that was happening to me in my career. I've always been musically inclined. I think some people grow up with music in the family, some people don't. So there's always music on in the house. A lot of 80s, 90s music. I think my mum and dad are very general with the music, and there's not a specific thing they like. They weren't even into dance music, but if a dance song came on and they remember it, then they would record it. And outside of my direct family, some extended family, my cousins, aunties, uncles, all that sort of thing, everyone's quite musical. My cousin's a singer. My uncle plays piano and guitar, so at Christmas the guitar would always be out and everyone would be singing along. So music has always been something that within the family has been quite important and always present. And then I think for me, dance music specifically, when I came to uni, I was sort of listening to everything, anything on the radio, and even things that weren't on the radio, whatever, on Spotify, for example. But then dance music for me came from going to events, going out, and then from there, just fell in love with dance music, and now it is all day, every day, thinking about it in somewhere or another. Whether that's my own career or it's like, oh, I want to go to a show next weekend and like go out, like there's always some form of dance music. When I put my own music out there, I always worry what people will think of it. So that can come from just the basic production level, like do people think I am a good enough producer to be putting music out there? But also, maybe not the music I've put out yet, but the music that I'm working towards now. I'm working a lot more with songwriters and like original vocals, and then from there, like, when no matter what workflow you take when you're writing lyrics, there's going to be something from your own head. So I think the music that's coming out this year and next year and whatnot is definitely more me. I think dance music is definitely quite. Everyone makes quite basic lyrics a lot of the time. I think the people who are at the top are still trying to portray that emotion more than anyone else, because you get like these basic loops and these basic songs that don't really mean anything. But I think the guys who are at the top, the lyrics mean something. I think my music that's coming out, you probably see that a little bit more. Yeah, I think it's always scary putting music out there, the same way that it is putting an art project out there or anything. Like whenever you put anything out for people to judge, I don't always even enjoy listening to my own music, because I'm like, once it's out there, it's sort of like a relief. It's like I've put 6 months into making it, a couple months into getting songs through labels and whatnot, and I wanted to find out there. It's almost like a relief. It's like, right, the song's out there, now people can hear it. But if people don't like my music, they might then think negatively of me, which is strange, but it's the way it is. Not everyone is out to help you and as nice as they seem, I guess. I mean, that's probably more music industry based than like general, but I think the music industry is a very interesting place to sort of navigate. A lot of people are friendly, a lot of people are actually there to help you. But I think there are some people who will help you up until a point where maybe you are succeeding maybe better than you thought you would, so you don't want to succeed, or maybe succeeding more than they are. And there's just times where I just need to be a little bit careful that not everybody is out for good reasons and out to help. Which is a bit of a shit thing to say, but I think it's just important that people know that they realise that. I think a lot of people do in the music industry, they do know that not everybody is there to help. I tell you what, I've gone back to that Saffron before, and I think it works really well, and I think it works because of how good of friends we are. If I could dream of like any artist, it would come back to the same ones as the one that I look up to, so MK, Sonny, Calvin. And I don't think I'm going to go back to back with any of them anytime soon. But I think they'd all be really cool, and the styles match enough that we'd do a cool set. 100%. I think the first thing is that music styles work together. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like the same exact genre. So I make a lot of like piano house music, but I play a lot of maybe like tech house in my sets, lots of edits, that sort of thing. So it doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to make piano house music for a back-to-back to work. But first of all, the music needs to be there. And I think that comes from the understanding of who they are, what type of music they play, which is again chemistry. Yes and no. I think I'm so new and so young that there's not necessarily the pressure that it's a full-time career yet. I mean, hopefully I get there, but it's not that pressure to put food on the table. I've not got a family to look after. So in terms of that, in the money side of things is not pressure. But do I feel pressure when I put music out there and when I perform? Yeah. Depending on the show, a lot more than others. So if I've been booked for a headline slot, there's more pressure because even though not everybody has come to see me, they've put my name at the top of the bill, there are some people who have come to watch me play, and there's certain expectations with that, that at the end of the day people are paid, so they expect something out of it. So yeah, there is pressure, and then I think with music, the way that the industry is going, people expect there to be music a lot and churn music out maybe every 6 to 8 weeks to keep yourself relevant, but also people want to hear new music. The way people get bored of music now so quickly, there's pressure to get new music out there, which means continuously being in the studio, continuously making music, which is fun, but there is pressure to like, maybe you get in a session and it's not quite what you wanted out of it. You then think, man, fuck, I wasted a day of music here. I think what I struggle with and what I've been trying to improve on is getting in sessions with other people. So when you're making original music, you need to get in with a singer rather than just using a sample, for example. And that often comes with getting a songwriter as well, and maybe you've got an engineer in there as well. And getting in a room with 3 or 4 people to polish up a song and finish a song, there's definitely pressure on that day to perform, even just that small group of people, and like make sure that you're not wasting their time. I always feel like if I've not put my best effort in and the track's not as good as I wanted it to be at the end of the day, have these people have wasted their time as well. And it is just a creative thing that people won't even consider that I've wasted the time, because they're also coming and trying to work on a project together collaboratively. But yeah, there is pressure sometimes, but not as much as I think will be if I ever go full time. I mean, Coachella's on up this weekend. I mean, who wouldn't want to play at Coachella? I mean, seeing the guys like MK, Calvin, and even Chris Lake and Fisher are there this weekend, Chris Stussy, like, it just shows that like dance music can play these massive festivals. And then UK, like Creamfields, Warehouse Project, even Reading and Leeds Fest, like all these festivals are all big goals for me. But yeah, going full time, we're sort of linking with them as well, because as I go full time, I'll be playing the bigger show, which is the goal. And also, I suppose, the production side is getting my music heard by more people. Like, I'd love to get on Radio 1 more often. I've had two or three plays on Radio 1, but I'd love to like be on like a prime time playlist where everyone's listening and getting my music supported by bigger DJs and more often. So just everything is building as much as possible. Feel good house music. Feel good house. But if I was going to say 3 words, I'd like to describe the style of it. Energetic, fun, feel good, dash, 2 words, if you want. Yeah, I definitely still do get nerves performing, but it will depend on the gig and the size of the gig. I think I've learned when playing to 200, 300 people to quite control my nerves. That to me, that is sort of like the normal amount of people I'll play to, so now that I can deal with that. Well, when I go and do a bigger show and there's 1,000 people, or hopefully in the future there's more, that's where the nerves sort of kick in, and when there's pressure because there is more people there, and maybe I've been booked for a bigger show by a bigger brand or whatnot. I don't think I necessarily know how to calm my nerves. I think when you play 1 or 2 songs, you do your first transition, the nerves sort of just go away, because you're like, right, I know what I'm doing, I'm comfortable, I'm in the zone, and then I get into it. But I think just getting that first mix or 2 is the key thing, and just making it maybe quite basic, maybe keeping it quite a simple mix, so get it on paper, get it done, then relax. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to sort of think about things for me personally before the set that I could do. I mean, I try and have my friends around me, I try and make it quite chatty, quite relaxed, not thinking too much of it or making a big deal of it. So just continuing to do that, surround myself with my friends, have a drink, relax, just chat shit, to be honest, and just chill. It's the best way to do it. Yeah, I think I've done a lot more than maybe I expected of myself and what people have expected of me in a short time. Only been doing this 3 or 4 years. I mean, COVID gave me a lot more time. So I think time frames were a bit funny because COVID gave me so much spare time. Like, it wasn't doing 2 or 3 hours of production a night, like you would standardly if you've got time. It was all day for however long it was, like at least 6 months of like nothing. So I think even though my time frame sounds quite short, the actual hours that have gone in a lot longer than maybe other people's. But in 3 or 4 years work, I'm proud of what I've done. Gone a lot further than I thought I would. And it started as what was definitely fun, was a hobby, never thought about it as a career. hopefully be able to make it into a career and go from here. So yeah, definitely I'm proud of myself, but just got to keep going. I think that's the main thing, is not getting complacent now that I've got like to a certain level, people are listening to my music, getting some decent shows, but like I really want to push on from here and use the platform that I've now got to carry on. A year from now, I hope you're less of a perfectionist, to be honest, because even though the music side of the thing, you need to make sure the music is perfect in terms of like getting content out there, in terms of like even outside of DJing, like how I plan my day. Like I'm like overly, I don't know whether it's like OCD or ADHD, I don't even know what it is, but like my day is like planned to the minute, and I think sometimes that makes me struggle a little bit. So be less of a perfectionist and just enjoy it more. Enjoy the projects you're working on. Enjoy the shows more. Like try and enjoy everything. Don't try and think if it wasn't perfect, it wasn't good. Just because something's not perfect doesn't mean it's not gone well. So just try and enjoy everything a lot more.